Hello world and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm nikkirenae and today I'm so freaking excited. So many people are probably going to be dragging me for this because today I am reading Harry Potter for the first time ever. This is probably going to be a 7-part series because there are 7 books in the series. I just really want to give each of these books their chance, and I want to give myself enough time to fully digest them. The lighting is really weird and I'm very sorry. I'm trying really hard. Welcome to my dorm. It's always very bright in here, but it's like it just doesn't always work in my favor in terms of recording. This seems kind of good. You'll have to let me know. I can't tell if I'm too dark or if my background is too light. So today is specifically the day that I chose to do this because it's September 1st, which means it is the first day at Hogwarts. So I obviously had to start this crazy amazing experience today, and I know I'm hyping it up so much and I'm going to either regret that later or just have a fantastic time. But I'm very, very excited, and I just think it's going to be so fun. I think my plan moving forward is going to be to read one of these books every 2 to 3 weeks, or at least attempt to, because I do have a very busy schedule as a uni student, and these books are not small necessarily. I think this one's technically the smallest, but they also just, grow. They literally just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I would love to do a reading of the book and then also watch the movie to see how I think about it after the fact, because I've seen the movies so many times. I love the movies. So I feel like I'm just going to love the books more. But I would absolutely love to do that. I am going to be tabbing them, and I will figure out all of that later. Also, I feel like as somebody who has written a 5-page essay on the character of J.K. Rowling herself and how unseemly it is, I do want to make a few PSAs, I guess. So my Harry Potter books, the ones that I'll be using for this video series, they're all hardcover. I did not buy them. My brother-in-law got them for me for my graduation present. I just wanted to say that. I will also be using music from the soundtracks from the movies, and those I can use on YouTube, and I will not make commission if ever I get monetized. So that is my overall plan. Unfortunately today, I don't think I'm going to end up reading too much. I've had an experience this weekend already, so I'm very, very tired and sleep deprived, but I'm absolutely going to be starting this today. No doubt about that. I just don't think I'm going to make it too far in the next couple of days. And then tomorrow I do have to go home to get some things, and then I will have to do a lot of homework tomorrow. So I'm not sure how much of Harry Potter I will be able to get through tomorrow either. At least today I'm going to try and read chapter 1. Seems feasible. So I think I'm just going to sit here for right now and then read just the first chapter, and then depending on how that goes, I might want to read more. I'm very excited for it. I think it's gonna be great no matter what. So I am ready. I have myself a Culver's Coolie. It's now 7:25, and I'm going to start chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the first time ever. I just sat here and talked to you for like solid 10-15 minutes before realizing you weren't even recording. Anyways, it's obviously gotten a lot darker since the last time you saw me. The lights are going, but I finished chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived, of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I have thoughts. I didn't expect it to be in third person, but that definitely makes a lot of sense, and I'm very excited to see how that goes, because obviously if you've read the books then you know, but it follows Mr. Dursley for the first like half of this chapter. It seems to be third person omniscient, which I think is definitely going to be good for the series, and it was definitely kind of fun to see things from his point of view. I mean, I obviously don't agree with them, but I always think a good perspective from the other guy is nice. I already love McGonagall. She is a sassy professional queen, and obviously the cutest kitty cat ever. There's no way she's not. Love Hagrid. Already knew I was going to, because I love Hagrid in the movies, and if he's great in the movies, there's no way that he's not in the books. I love him. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. You're a wizard, Harry. I cannot wait. Oh, their relationship is going to be the best. On that note, I'm also so excited to just meet all of Harry's friends. Obviously Ron and Hermione, but like, I can't wait till the next book. Also, I think it's going to be so fun to meet Ginny and like see her personality more. And then whenever we finally get to like meet Luna, oh, I love Luna. And I can't wait to see Neville. He's so precious. He deserves so much better. Dudley, oh god. Dudley. I don't even know. I've only seen him as a baby, and to be so fair though, I don't really appreciate how McGonagall just made a preconceived notion about Dudley's character based off of one day that she saw him as like a toddler. Here's my thing, right? I love McGonagall and Hagrid so much now, not just because I already know their characters from the books, but because already in this first chapter, they're like, why does Harry, a wizard, have to go live with his aunt and uncle who are muggles and seem to be not the best people, and also very against their community? Why? And don't get me wrong, the last thing we need is for him to grow up to be Gilderoy Lockhart. Okay, we don't need a pompous ass as the chosen one, so I get where Dumbledore is coming from. However, I don't agree with it. I get that, like, you don't want him to know he's famous and blah, 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 all the things, whatever. But did that mean that he had to be subjected to pain and trauma like that? I don't think so. I think it could have been handled differently, but if it was, then, you know, we probably wouldn't have these books, and we wouldn't have discussions like this, and we wouldn't have the lore. We just wouldn't have this. And my final two thoughts. First, I don't agree with the TV show in this case, because we already have the movies, and I think they did so well for their time, for the special effects and CGI that they had, and I think it was done well, even as somebody who hasn't read the books, just from a technicality point of how they executed the magic system and just all of those things that you wouldn't see typically, you know? I think, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I don't think it's broke. I said two things. So the other thing that I'm going to leave you on and then go to bed is the scar. I like how on the covers it makes a point of putting his scar on his forehead. However, I am 100% of the team that it should have been less DC Flash, more actual lightning bolt from the sky. 100%. Kind of can't blame Draco at that point. Hello, it is Thursday. I don't have my mic. Fingers crossed you can hear me. Like, it's just such a fun time. I think the only thing that I'm not vibing with so much is, I don't want to say the style of writing. I guess just the vocabulary, I guess. And like not the style, but like the structure of the writing, if that makes sense. Let me explain. And I knew this was going to happen, and I think I already commented on it earlier, but I kind of foresaw this because when I tried to read Percy Jackson, I struggled to read them, and I've only read the first two because they're written very juvenile, which makes sense because that's the audience. It's not directed towards me, who when I first read it, I was like 16. That's not for me, whereas this, it's directed towards that same audience. It's not directed to me, and I'm now 21. So that's my only thing about it, but at the same time, I kind of love it. I'm kind of enjoying it, like hardcore. So I ended up reading chapters 2 and 3 Tuesday night, and I really liked it. So today's goals were to smack yourself in the face with the book, why don't ya? Today's goals were to do some editing and reading, and that's about it. That is your update. Oh, I'm on chapter 4 now, which is, I'm on page 46. I will put the percent and everything on here. I did want to get the like extra books that's like the history of Quidditch and things like that to sort of have background, but I think at the same time it's a better idea to just start with the series and learn everything with Harry. And she's back. I'm going to look through my tabs. I like to match the colors to the cover. I'm not entirely sure all the things I'm going to tab. I think I said for sure differences in the movie versus the book, naturally, foreshadowing, quotes. What I like to do with tabbing, I've only just started doing this sort of recently. Tabbing was something that I was not against, I wasn't comfortable with it for myself because I didn't like the permanence of it. So I have these tabs, they come on and off the books easily, but then I have pens because these pens are specifically erasable, and so these are the only ones that I use, and then that is the combo for me that I've found that I like to use when it comes to tabbing. Oh, another thing, I really, really, really like how, let me just show you, and I don't know if they did this in like the first editions of these books or if this is just my hardcovers that are special, but I like how there are these pictures at the beginning of all of the chapters. I think that's really fun. It reminds me a lot of The School for Good and Evil, which makes me think, I wonder, I do have Percy here, so I could easily go check. I'm not going to. But I wonder if Percy has it too, because these books are all sort of in the same age demographic, so I wonder if that's just a commonality between them. Interesting. back, I've had dinner, I've done all the tabs, and I went sort of ham. I struggled really hard because some of my tabs are just different from the others, and so they're not sticky like the oths. It's a whole thing. But last I saw you, I think I had 4 or 5 ideas for tabbing. I have 10 now, so I was trying really hard to match the cover. I don't know how well I did. Going from this side to that side and then top to bottom. This is movie v book. I did green because Harry's eyes are supposed to be green. Quotes. I like to do quotes in purple because it's my favorite color and I love to do quotes. This dark blue is for world building. Just felt like the right kind of vibe for Harry Potter. This orange is for foreshadow. Again, vibe. This blue, this light blue, is for magic or spells or just information on spells. So this pink is for Ron v Hermione, for all those moments that Hermione was made to seem smarter at the expense of Ron. Red is for character development. And then this lighter purple is for world building. This is supposed to be a dark green. This is one of the ones that I was iffy on, that I couldn't quite figure out. But it's supposed to be for funny or sassy moments because I know there's a big thing in the community about how Harry was kind of toned down in attitude and personality a lot in the movies, and I think I've already seen that a little bit, which I think is so funny already. And I wanted to do a green for the same reason I did green for the movie v book, just because it's mostly Harry who's, you know, I'm expecting to be kind of sassy. And then this like teal turquoise situation is for the very important things and just like, I guess, plot or to the series in general, just the things that are like very, very important. If you realized in my annotation that I had world build on there twice, so did I, and it is fixed. I did also buy more tabs last night because I'm already running out of some colors. As for the actual content of the book, I love Hagrid. He is so funny. He was so funny in the movies as well, but I wasn't prepared because I can just hear his attitude and sass and voice from the movies as I'm reading so many of these one-liners that he's got. I have a tab specifically for any like sassy or funny moments, and right now I think most of them are from Hagrid. He strode over to the sofa where Dudley sat frozen with fear. "Budge up, you great lump. Shouldn't have lost my temper, but it didn't work anyway. Meant to turn him into a pig, but I suppose he was so much like a pig anyway, there wasn't much left to do. Be grateful if you didn't mention that to anyone at Hogwarts. Like, he's so funny effortlessly, and I love it. I love him. I'm so excited to see his friendship, just all of the wholesome stuff that's going to happen with him and the Golden Trio, because they have such a great friendship, and I love it so much. So in chapter 5, it starts off with Harry assuming the entire previous day or days were just a dream, and that's so sad. From a technical and professional point of view, I understand why J.K. Rowling did it like that. Diagon Alley, which I cannot ever see that and not think of Diagon Alley. There are some things that I underlined, but I didn't give a tab to just because I kind of thought that it was fun to like give a little attention to, but it's not something that I'm probably going to want to flip back to. For example, with the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, all of the things that Harry needs, like the uniform and then his course books and other equipment for Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, I did underline by Newt Scamander because I just think that's so fun. I love that the money, the wizard money, is explained in here because I never understood it. I don't know if it was explained in the movies. I don't think it was. Knowing the actual conversions for all of them now, I think that's really interesting. I did tab that for world building. And then please let me know. Well, don't let me know. I mean, I'm going to figure it out in this video, so there's no point in letting me know, I guess. But I think we met Draco, which is so funny because if I'm right, and I think I am, this is hilarious because he's literally described as a boy with a pale and pointed face. And that's like all we get for descriptions of him, and it's so funny. Other than that, we just see a little bit of his personality, his lovely, amazing personality showing through so quickly, and that he plays Quidditch. And Harry was strongly reminded of Dudley while speaking to him, and how he hates Hufflepuff, but he thinks that he's going to be in Slytherin because his whole family's in Slytherin. And then getting his wand, meeting Ollivander was so fun. Reading about Harry during all of this is kind of so sad because he has no idea what's going on and he feels so detached from this world that's apparently his, and he doesn't even feel like he belongs there. I'm famous and I can't even remember what for. I don't think he feels bad because he doesn't remember why he's famous. I think he feels bad because he doesn't remember his world and he doesn't remember ever feeling like he belonged. But after the day that he's had, it's obvious that there was a time that he did feel very loved and welcomed and like he belonged, and I feel like that's just so sad. But on the flip side, something I think is very funny that I've also started doing is so teal is my very important color, which is just things for me. But something I've started to do is underline every time somebody actually says Voldemort, and then also underlining every time Harry says the one who shall not be named, or something or other, because I think it's so funny that even this early on, he's unconsciously just like, I'm not afraid of him. Why are we not saying his name? Like, I just think that's so funny. But something I've been thinking about this entire time as I've been reading, actually, and for the past, maybe not the entire time, but for the past few days, is how smart, from the technical publishing side of this, I've been thinking about how smart this was. Just the whole concept of your main character belonging to this world, but he doesn't remember. And it's so smart because a huge challenge of the first book of any series is explaining things without info dumping. And I think this has been so smartly done on a technical standpoint because he belongs there. It's his world. There's no question about if he's going to go to Hogwarts or not. There's no question about something being different about him. We already know that, but we don't know the Wizarding World. We don't know Hogwarts. We don't know what Quidditch is, but neither does Harry. So the explanations in this first book, and honestly, moving forward, it makes sense because it's not being explained to us. It's being explained. explained to our main character. And from a technical, like, professional point of view, that's so smart. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to give J.K. Rowling any kind of props if I can manage not to, but at the same time, she's done something here that's had ramifications going on for, like, over 20 years now. So, that being said, it's obviously getting dark again. I have a starship coming, so I'm going to eat my food and my beverage from my starship. And then I'm going to read chapters 6 and 7. I'm very excited for chapter 6 because if I'm right, then we should be meeting Ron, because chapter 6 is the journey from platform 9 3/4. Hi, so it is Wednesday, September 18th, which means I haven't spoken to you in like over a week. I am on page 113 and chapter 7. I'm going to read 3 chapters today, and just so we're clear about where I am, we've met Ron and Hermione and Molly and the twins and Neville, also Crabbe and Goyle. And chapter 7, I do believe, is the Sorting Hat. Yes, chapter 7 is the Sorting Hat. So we have not been sorted yet, but we are at Hogwarts. Hello and welcome to my car. We are actually right outside my eye doctor because my lenses are getting changed today, so this whole reflecting and glaring thing is gonna be fixed. I did bring Harry! I did not bring any of my annotating things because very busy day. But I figured at the very least I could read, because I actually didn't get any reading done yesterday. But Wednesday I did read like 3 or 4 chapters. I think I was on chapter 7, The Sorting Hat, which was so fun. And I'm about to start chapter 10. So I read 3 chapters. My appointment is at 12:30 and it's 11:51. So I'm just going to chill in my car and read as much as I can. And then after this appointment, when I come back and my glasses are all cutie patootie and fixed, I will share my thoughts on where I am now versus the last time I think I actually talked to you about the book. Okay, friends. Ah, the glasses. Look. So much better. I love it. So while I was waiting to go in to get my new lenses put onto my glasses, I made it 1 chapter farther. So I should be starting chapter 11, which is Quidditch. So exciting. So how I'm liking the book so far is I'm loving it. I don't know if I will give it 5 stars as of right now, but I am immensely enjoying this. It's been so fun. I think the first thing that I want to say that I've noticed since chapter 6, which I think is the chapter that I read right after the last time I actually spoke to you guys, was that it feels like things are kind of going fast. Very quickly, we met Hermione and Neville and Malfoy and Crabbe and Goyle and Molly and the twins and Percy and Ron, like very, very quickly, and then the next thing is we're on Hogwarts Express, and then he's about to get into a fight, him and Ron, with Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, which, if Ron and Harry think that they can take them in a fight, problems, because there's no way. So it just felt like things were going really fast, especially once we got to Hogwarts, also because I think the Sorting Hat ceremony was maybe the slowest thing we've seen so far. And it's so weird because on the one hand I feel like things are going very quickly, but also I think they're kind of not, because I'm about to start chapter 11 out of 17, so I'm on page 180 out of 309, so I only have just over 100 pages left, basically 130 left, and just in the last chapter is when they finally start being friends with Hermione and he's learning Quidditch. The pacing just feels kind of weird, I guess is where I'm getting at, but I think a lot of these discrepancies I'm having with the book and the structure is because of my age, to be so frank. But I do love it. I'm having so much fun. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's going to be a 5-star read, but I am having so much fun. As for the characters, Molly, precious. So precious. I think something that I really loved seeing that we didn't really get as much, at least in the first movie, is seeing as many Weasleys and as many Weasley interactions as we do, because when Harry's going to get on the platform, obviously that's when he meets the Weasleys, which is a very smart tactic on J.K. Rowling's part as a way to introduce Harry to this very wizarding family. We get to see their dynamic very quickly between the twins. We obviously get that whole I'm not Fred, I'm George, or he's not Fred, I am, or I'm only joking, I am Fred. It's different. It's the exact quote is different than it is in the movie, and I feel like the one in the movie fares better, but it's still giving the same thing. But then we also see Percy the Prefect, and it's just a very fun time. I think something that I didn't quite understand was the significance put on Neville and his toad. I don't understand what the point of that was, to be really frank. I can't, from a technical, professional point of view, figure it out, other than to just say it was an introduction to Neville. It also gave us the excuse of meeting Hermione, but I don't know, I don't think it quite made a lot of sense to me, because they kind of came in the scene and then went out and came back in and it was just kind of flip-floppy for me. It obviously works for this book and this story. I just didn't see it personally. I think another really fun aspect of this, though, is to see the personalities of all of the first years. I mean, we obviously see Neville and his accident-prone self constantly losing Trevor. We get a very nice view of Ron and Harry's friendship right from the beginning, with how Ron comes from this poor family and he has a lot of hand-me-downs, but then the contrast is that his best friend is now Harry, whose parents left him a huge inheritance so that he's set. But then the difference there is that Harry is not like Malfoy, in which he's going to brag about that because he never had this before, so he wouldn't even begin to understand how to brag about that unless he's going to just impersonate Dudley. It's just so smart. Harry is rich enough to be able to get everything that he needs, and his best friend is Ron, who knows about everything but is not, well, he knows about everything from a street smart point of view, but he doesn't have the means to get to where he needs to or wants to go. But then we also have Hermione, who is very book smart, but doesn't really know as much street smart with the Wizarding World as Ron, so they all kind of have a role in their trio friendship, and it's very smart. Like, going into the scene, specifically in some of the characters that we've met, Snape, already hilarious. So hilarious. The foreshadowing going on between the contrast of him and Quirrell. I already knew all these things, but now I'm like picking up on it, and it's so nice. So the Sorting Hat was very fun. The song, I have no words. I don't even know how to comment on that. Like, it was obviously funny, but it was kind of cringe. Do we say cringe anymore? It was like secondhand embarrassment. But then also we got the Hogwarts song, like the Hogwarts school song, which was wild. The secondhand embarrassment with that was so much worse. I mean, it's Hogwarts, Hoggy Warty Hogwarts. I thought it was always Hoggy Hogwarts. Hoggy Warty Hogwarts. It's so embarrassing, but that's perfect for Hogwarts. At the same time, I was laughing, giggling, kicking my feet reading that. The fact that Dumbledore is just like, go at your own speed, and then everybody goes at different speeds, and the fucking twins, and it's specifically described as a funeral march, and Dumbledore just very patiently conducts them to a close. Wild. Hilarious. Embarrassing. Wild. And I loved every second of it. Chapter 9 is the Midnight Duel. I don't understand what the point of that was, other than to just reinforce a dislike for Malfoy and the Slytherins. I know in that chapter is when Neville gets the Remembrall, which of course leads to the scene where Harry ends up becoming the Seeker. So I get that, but I don't understand why we needed a whole thing with the Midnight Duel that never happened. I think so far with Malfoy, though, it's very obvious that he's insecure, and he's also kind of jealous of Harry. I think you could deduce that's why he's trying to get him out of Hogwarts, and I think he's a little hurt that Harry denied becoming friends with him. I've seen some headcanons of these where it was like Draco really wanted to be friends with Harry, and he wanted to have a good friend in Harry, but he didn't come across quite right with that because he didn't know how to come across right. And I definitely see that. Like, I truly think Draco just wanted a friend in Harry, and he didn't know the correct way to go about doing that. Chapter 10 is the one that I just read, which is Halloween, which is when, first of all, Harry gets his new broom. We finally learn all there is to Quidditch, and while reading that, I really was just thinking a lot about how did J.K. Rowling even think of that? 3 different kinds of balls, 4 different kinds of players, 7 players. Like, it's so specific and intricate and very cool to think about. This is also the chapter where obviously the trio finally end up friends because of the troll. We do not get the foreshadowing, like, little hint clue situation when it comes to Snape limping into the bathroom, which I thought was very interesting. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was in the book, but we did see him going to the 3rd floor, and like, that's about it. I think what was really fun though is that the scene with the troll is almost exactly the same as it is in the books too, and that's very nice, and I think it just truly emphasized how that was the kind of thing that was going to solidify them as friends. I think maybe the last paragraph of this chapter, chapter 10, Halloween, I'm gonna leave it out here because I think this is the best, like, it was just the best way to put it, and I don't think I could put it any better. But from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them. Hello, it is Friday, September 27th, and I've specifically been waiting for it to get a little bit darker outside before I finish it because I don't think it will take me long because it's only about 70-ish pages, and then when I finish this I will put on the movie and I will be annotating while watching the movie, but I was not planning on coming on here quite yet. But then I went on to TikTok to start editing a few TikToks, and I came across the worst news ever, and I knew I had to come on here immediately and say something, and I had to just put all of my attention towards Harry because I'm distraught, and I'm very sad for that because I got the best news today also. So it's been a day, but unfortunately today, September 27th, is also the day that Maggie Smith, who played Professor McGonagall, has passed away. And I'm very sad now, but here we are. Something I did not expect during the detention in the Forbidden Forest was that the groups that they split into to go searching for this unicorn were different from the start versus what they ended up becoming, because in the movie it just starts off as Harry and Draco wants Fang, which is so funny because obviously I already knew that this one quote from Hagrid, which I did just find, was going to come, but it's so funny. "I want Fang," said Malfoy quickly, looking at Fang's long teeth. "All right, but I warn ya, he's a coward," said Hagrid, and that is so funny. Hagrid is the sassiest of sassies, I think, and I think it's going to rub off on Harry or vice versa, because Harry is also extremely sassy, and I love it. Like, it makes so much sense that they get along. The groups actually start with Harry, Hermione, and Hagrid, and then Draco, Neville, and Fang, because Neville's there, and it's actually sad that Neville's there the way that happened. I think it's also really funny that they're so caught up on werewolves. I guess the Centaurs obviously had their whole thing going on with Mars, and it's being closer, and I find it really funny. Hagrid keeps trying to ask them if they've seen anything unusual in the forest or something, and they're just not listening to him, or at least that's how he's seeing it, when really I feel like they're trying to give him some sort of hint of something he should be paying attention to. I am on page 304, and while I know I'm not going to start the next book immediately after this, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about the rest of the series, this is absolutely a 4, maybe a 5-star, because I love Hagrid so much. He's my favorite character, and the last few pages is really saving it for me, and I just wanted to tell you that. If the next 5 pages convinced me to give this a 5-star, it's because of Hagrid, because I love him so much. Okay, I'm settling on a 4-star because it's just so, it was so good. There are definitely things that I loved and hated. There are things that I wish might have been different. I don't know if I would say that the movie was better or worse, to be so frank. I don't know if I would say that the book was better or worse, but I loved it. I did. It was so fun. Gosh, I don't even know what to comment on. Something I really enjoyed was once they got through the trap door, it was definitely kind of not necessarily easy, but it was a nice experience. It was really fun to be able to see and like just specifically tell what each of the professors' different spells or tests were. And it wasn't necessarily like a regular enchantment, you know, like Petrificus Totalis. It wasn't necessarily as blatant as that, and I really liked that because you got to see where all of the different professors shined in the importance of actually what they do. And then I think something that was really nice also is the fact that they all had their own little trials to go through that you had to pass in order to move on to the next one and get yourself closer to the Sorcerer's Stone. But it was so nice that Hagrid got to put Fluffy in. The symbolism, the way that he got to be involved, oh my, I loved that. It was so nice. Also, to rewind just a little bit, I love how Harry does this huge speech about how he has to go. He has to go through the trap door, try and meet Snape. He has to do this. It's his destiny. Like, there's no doubt that he's not going to do this tonight. And then he's like, you guys don't have to come with me. I understand if you will be scared. And Ron and Hermione are like, what the hell are you talking? What the fuck are you what are you talking about? Of course we're coming. And it's that was so cute. Like, they stood by him to the end. That was great. And I will say, as hilarious and just iconic the chess scene is in the movie, I think that's something that was done a little bit better in the book, because in the movie, it doesn't necessarily show Ron as injured as he totally could have been and as he was in the books, because he's like straight up knocked the fuck out. I thought it was so funny, Snape's whole test trial thing. It really definitely gave me Sorting Hat vibes. I still personally don't understand the whole thought process behind Harry being able to physically maim Quirrell with his hands, especially because they shook hands earlier. I don't get that personally, but is it my place to get it, to be so fair? I also did really like how Quirrell literally just explains all of the foreshadowing that we might have missed, because I don't think it was actually given to us quite well. Not that it wasn't given to us well, just that it wasn't necessarily something we could have perhaps picked up on, because Harry's so sure that Snape wanted to kill him, so he does obviously mention his broom. And Quirrell comments on how Hermione had knocked into him. We do get that line where it says she didn't even stop to say sorry as she knocked Professor Quirrell head first into the row in front. But I find it strange, I guess, because then later it says that it took perhaps 30 seconds for Snape to realize that he was on fire. So I just guess I find it a tad strange that it would take 30 seconds for Quirrell, who has already been struck head first into the row in front of him, for his enchantment to finally wear off enough that Harry could be on his broom. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like books now are just a different level also. I definitely got confused when we finally saw Voldemort, which I think was a me thing, to be so fair. Even though we haven't actually been given any reasoning for Dumbledore to be important, despite, or other than just being the headmaster, I do like his character for just his funny commentary. And I think it's really interesting and so funny that a lot of these lines that are so comical made it into the movie. For example, he says, what happened down in the dungeons between you and Professor Quirrell is a complete secret. So naturally, the whole school knows. Like, it's so funny, especially for somebody who is obviously old like he is. Something I don't like as much is, I guess, the purpose of his character in the secrecy behind Harry and Voldemort's whole problem. Because, you know, Harry says, well, Voldemort said that he only killed my mother because she tried to stop him from killing me. But why would he want to kill me in the first place? And Dumbledore immediately says, alas, the first thing you ask me, I cannot tell you. Not today, not now. You will know one day. Put it from your mind for now, Harry. When you are older, I know you hate to hear this. When you are ready, you will know. And we know that he's referencing the fact that, like, I don't know the specific terminology for it, but we know that he's referencing the fact that Harry is some sort of life force of of Voldemort now, and so there's a whole thing behind it. But this 11 or 12-year-old boy who's just almost died, had everybody scared shitless that he was dead, and you're telling him you can't tell, like, okay, be so fucking for real. Be so fucking. I could probably talk forever on this, and I'm not going to. The ending, it was just so sweet and so wholesome. I know I literally stopped because Hagrid, he feels so bad. He's literally sobbing because he thinks that it's all his fault. But let's be so real, it's really not. And he feels so bad. And the part that I specifically stopped at to say that Hagrid's absolutely my favorite character is when he gives him the gift, and he literally says, sent owls off to all your parents' old school friends asking for photos. Knew you didn't have any. Do you like it? He didn't have to do that, and he just did that for him. Is that not it's precious. Also, something that's just so, it's like very Dumbledore-esque, is the specific terminology and reasoning he gives for awarding Hogwarts an extra 111 points, which I think is specifically used in the movie, in which case he says, first to Mr. Ronald Weasley, for the best game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years. I award Gryffindor House 50 points. And it's so cute that Percy the Prefect is so proud of him for that. Second, to Hermione Granger, for the use of cool logic in the face of fire. Harry strongly suspected she had burst into tears. Shut the fuck up. Third, to Mr. Harry Potter, for pure nerve and outstanding courage. And then they're all like, oh my god, we're tied. He's like, oh my god, if only I had one more point. But then, there are all kinds of courage. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. I therefore award 10 points to Mr. Neville Longbottom. Harry, Ron, and Hermione stood up to yell and cheer as Neville, white with shock, disappeared under a pile of people hugging him. He had never won so much as a point for Gryffindor before. Shut the fuck up. Something I will say that I kind of liked a little bit better from the movie, and I think it is from the first movie, because I always mix that one and the second one, I always mix them up, is the last lines that Harry said. Because, you know, in the movie, Harry says that Hogwarts is his home. And in this, he says, in response to Hermione saying that she hopes he has a good holiday after, of course, meeting Uncle Vernon, who is... Harry says, oh, I will. They don't know we're not allowed to use magic at home. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer. Shut the fuck up. That's hilarious. With that being said, this is the last time I will be speaking to you. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you liked it. It was a roller coaster of a month, but I did love this, and I had so much fun with it. And I'm not sure when I'll be reading the next one, but I think it will be sometime soon-ish, because Harry just gives me fall, winter vibes, especially as the themes and aesthetics of the books darken as they go on. But yes, thank you so much for watching. This was so much fun to do. I'm so happy that I finally read this, and I'm so excited to watch the movies all over again. Thank you so much for watching. Te aprecio mucho y mi corazón es tuyo para siempre. Adios!